I still see Skyvu Pictures as a small studio. So we're small enough where I could be directing one of the artists, and all the artists can also hear me directing that artist. So everyone can pick up the direction that I want for the game.
So in terms of the way you work and what do you think you do so well that's made things work? I mean, do you think you're good at delegating these things, or do you just think you're a great communicator with the artists? Or, I mean, what do you think is really the key?
Oh, I think one thing's for sure, that I care a lot about Battle Bears. I care a lot about Oliver and Riggs and these characters, and I really want to, I really want to take them to the world and share them with the world. Everything serves that storyline. Everything serves those characters. So as long, I guess, if all of my artists are focused on that, then we'll eventually come up with a good game or a good storyline or a good joke or a good character design. So I guess it's that goal.
Just able to bring everybody together and get on that same wavelength or that same focused place where things happen, where the magic happens.
I think so. And I think that's one of the beauties of actually working here in Nebraska, is because there's not too many distractions going on.
Sure.
And there's not many other studios that can make games here in Nebraska right now. I hope that changes because that'll be better for our industry and for our state. But for the meantime, we have really no other project to focus on but Battle Bears and maybe a couple other things. So maybe that's part of the reason why we are able to keep on churning out interesting things.
Do you think you get a better work ethic here in the people that you've hired than you maybe would in another place, or more talent, or?
No, I think you can find talent anywhere. It's whether or not that talent works well with the other talent that you brought together. And I think, fortunately, I was able to find a small team of very young artists here in Omaha that believed in my vision for the company and for the game and for the characters, and they've bought into that. And the quality of the game and the quality of the characters that they helped me develop shows. Because we as a group, we do collaboratively come up with these crazy ideas and such.
Like, you need that bouncing off of other people to make things really come to fruition in terms of ideas, right? I mean, it's like the brainstorming part of it. I mean,
it's almost like a 24-hour brainstorm because
it's never out of your head.
Yeah, in our home studio, we all sit right next to each other, and there's nowhere else to go.
Right.
We don't have cubicles or anything, and we actually at one point I asked them, "Do you want your own separate desk? Do you want your own separate office rooms one day?" And all the artists unanimously said, "No, we enjoy working in an open environment, because that's where we have the most laughs. And if we're laughing, if we're having a good time, then I hope that we're making good work."
Yeah, let's talk about you were born in Nebraska?
I was born out of state. I was born in upstate New York.
Upstate New York, but you moved here when you were very
young. Yeah.
And pretty much grew up here till you graduated from
Creighton
Prep. Did you decide in high school that you wanted to be in film and television?
I tried to pursue my brother's footsteps in architecture for too long of a time before I realized my true calling was in film and television. And that was when I was still at Ball State in Indiana.
So was there one thing that clicked that said, no, let's leave architecture and go into film?
I think failing out of architecture school helped. But shortly after failing out of architecture school, I stumbled across an editing room at the telecommunications building. I think it was called the David Letterman room. That's where he went to school.
Right, Ball State.
I was hooked. It was just one of those moments where I was like, wow, you can assemble a series of moving images so fast, and then you can get this idea across to so many people. I found it very fascinating, both in technology and reach.
So were you like a senior at that point at Ball State, or ready to graduate?
I think I was nearing my junior year, so I switched midway through.
And you switched focus, or you went to another school then?
No, I stayed at Ball State.
You stayed at Ball State and got a bachelor's in
television and
film. And then you went to Cal State, or Cal?
Actually, I went back to, my first job was at the University of Nebraska Lincoln.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and I made educational videos for them there. And I got a little bit bored of that. Always wanted, and I kept on drawing, and then I decided to apply to go to CalArts.
CalArts.
Yeah.
And how long was that? A 2 years program? Or
That was a 3-year program.
3-year program.
Yeah.
And that was a master's then in
Master's in animation.
animation.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of that,
Well, midway through, I got hired. I got an internship at Leica, is a studio up in
Okay.
Portland, Oregon, and I got to work on an animated short film called Moon Girl.
Okay.
And that short film was directed by a director named Henry Selick, who was the same guy who did The Nightmare Before Christmas with Tim Burton. Henry went on to make Coraline, and Henry and his co-director Mike Cochuela hired me on board to work on Coraline. It was a very fortunate situation, and I'm really grateful for that experience. But after working in the film industry for that short amount of time, I just realized that, you know, I have too many ideas up here that I just need to get out, and I can't wait 10, 12 years in the animation industry to see if I have a chance of realizing the Battle Bears.
sure.
So I said, you know, I went back, I took a trip back to Vietnam, where my parents are from, and started setting up a small studio operation there, just to see if I can nurture some talent that could help me make a film one day.
Sure.
And it turned out to be a pretty good experience. Then I went over to Singapore, where my brother settled down because he married a Singaporean. And so we realized that there's a lot of talent in Singapore as well, and a lot of animation industry momentum going on with George Lucas setting up ILM over in Singapore. So I went back to Nebraska for a trip, just to be closer to my own family here, thinking that I was going to go back to Singapore to look for capital to start up Skyvu Pictures, and decided to got word about the Nebraska Angels, and somehow connected with one of the Angels who came over to the studio that was in my dad's basement at the time. And that couple really dug the idea, you know, of Skyvu Pictures. They saw the potential of it when a lot of people didn't, and they decided to introduce us to the rest of the group. So on a cold November day, we went out to Ashland, Nebraska, and we pitched Skyvu Pictures, and we got a great response. And so we got the necessary capital, and then here we are.
It's an incredible story. We've run out of time, but I want to thank you so much for doing the program. And you have a website.
Yes.
Skyvu.net.
Skyvu.net. Yeah.
And any other websites
Sure.
that you want to mention?
Battlebears.com.
Battlebears.com.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
And that's about
Okay.
it.
Are you looking for interns?
We're always looking for talent.
You're always looking for talent.
You're
so
always looking for
somebody
talent.
can always contact you.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Thanks again, Ben, for being on the program.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us for Nebraska Artists. We'll see you next time. I'm Joseph Piper.
All battle bearings. Warning. Possible approaching this
Open that door.
Oh, no.